Ready or not, the rut is on the way and you need to be prepared to hunt deer this fall. I'm gonna give you 3 of my biggest tips to help you kill the biggest buck you have ever shot this November. My first thing is get the trail camera work done. Make sure you're in good shape with your batteries, your SD cards, your solar panels, your data plans, and get your cameras clean. Okay, they have got to be ready to rock and roll for the Super Bowl, which is the rut. So batteries, solar, maybe external battery packs, that's all kind of part of the same thing, right? You make sure those things are charged. If you need to get in there in late October, go midday when it's still kind of warm and get that stuff changed out. Hopefully, you've got some solar packs potentially that are already hooked up on your cameras that are ready to rock and roll. Also, you need to make sure you don't have spider webs or ants or dirt on your lens. Any of these things that could obscure the image of a big buck or make it to where you don't quite understand what's going on. Maybe there's a situation where you have a camera hung where it gets foggy in the mornings and you could change maybe a 10 or 15 yard placement of that camera to where you're getting some clear images instead of those foggy images. Just kind of a thought with that, an issue I've had before in the past. Another thing you need to be thinking about is, do you have room on your SD cards and your cameras for all the pictures you're about to get? November, deer traffic, deer movement really picks up. You're gonna get a lot more pictures. You might need to think about what type of format your camera is set in. If it's picture mode, video mode, or a combination. Video is going to take up more space on an SD card. If you're running cell cameras, which I highly suggest doing, you can change all this stuff in the settings. You can monitor the battery life, you can see all kinds of stuff via a cellular camera, right? So you don't have to actually go in there, make an intrusion, and change stuff. Think about placing your trail cameras in a rut spot. Okay, a lot of people will have cameras on maybe mineral in the summer or on a field edge for soybeans, or if you're down in the south, you might have it on a kudzu patch. But that kind of stuff, albeit we'll get some pictures throughout the rut and some of it could be really good. Think about those classic rut places for trail cameras. Pinch points, scrapes, field edges that have scrapes on them or that are transition points between 2 big lots of timber. Places like that are going to be locations you can pick up a new buck or pattern a buck and make him killable in the rut. It's exciting, right? We want to get those big buck pictures, and the more pictures of a buck you can get, the better you can predict his movements and be able to close in and kill that thing. Also think about putting cameras, if you have enough, on major trails. Just trails that you know that deer are using. You might not see that deer every time he moves through the area because there can be multiple trails, but it's another good way to keep tabs on bucks. And one hidden spot that I don't think people use enough, that's a really good idea, is put a camera facing downwind for the prevalent wind. So say you have a lot of southeast in your neck of the woods, if you're in the south, or sometimes like if you're in the upper Midwest, it's a northwest. Whatever the case may be, face that camera downwind of a huge thicket of doe bedding potentially. That's the idea of a bedding area, because bucks will cruise just like, you know, it's just hunting, except you're using a trail camera to be able to get data for when you do go hunt, right? So what are good places to set up hunting? Pinch points, trails, scrapes, doe bedding, all this stuff is good places for cameras and it's good places to hunt. Along with all of these photos and videos you're gonna get, you have to be able to manage this. For an ADD guy like me, this gets tough because I get hyped, I get excited. I say, wow, there's a picture of a big buck. Look at this video of this giant buck checking this scrape. But then I forget to actually do something with that. And I both mean conceptually and physically, right? So a lot of your apps, like our Reveal app, you can organize hit lists, you can organize hunting areas or locations. You can make sure and denote what a shooter is, a particular buck you're getting to know, and you can put those things in certain files and go back and reference them quicker as opposed to having to look through all your trail camera photos. If you're not using an app for like a cell camera or something, still, it's a great practice to figure out how to have a good organization system on a hard drive or on your computer desktop of your shooters, of your bucks, of your locations, whatever the case may be. Do something with that stuff. That way it's not just a hodgepodge of a ton of trail camera data that you aren't actually putting to use. Now in concept, you also need to be able to use your trail camera data. What I think a lot of people do is they organize all this stuff. Like, wow, look at these big bucks. They have this folder of this big buck. We call him Floppy or Loppy or Troppy or whatever the case may be. But you don't actually look at OnX or an aerial of some sort, or at least put all the pieces together of what cameras you have him on and where that deer is showing up most, and make a good hunting plan for that deer. Trail cameras are fun. I love trail camera pictures and videos, but if you're not using them to become a better hunter on the property that you're hunting, then you're really just a wildlife photographer. We're trying to figure out how to kill big mature bucks, and we want to use the trail cameras to help us do that. So take that data you're getting, overlay it with calendar dates, with weather patterns, with acorn drop, with crop harvest, all the other things, all the other components, barometric pressure, red moon if you like that kind of stuff, you know, full moons, hunting pressure around you, whatever the case may be, any other factors. Line all that stuff up with the pictures and videos you're getting, and it will help you kill bigger bucks. Point number 2, know your hunting ground. Get out and scout. Get boots on the ground. Use that cliche. Go out there, walk around, look at the property, assess what is going on. Now, you can do this too much, and it might be too late when you're watching this video, but still, I would say, do what you can without being too intrusive. You need to know, oh man, this tree fell down and it changed the way deer use this property. Oh man, they harvested these crops over here. It changed the way the deer use the property. Oh man, there's a dead deer that got hit on the road over there. It changed something. Like, all of these things matter. One time, quite a few years ago, I was hunting a piece of private permission, and I was excited, I was stoked. It was pretty much a big woodlot, and the neighbors also were a big woodlot. And I hadn't gone in there in probably over a month. It was long before cell cameras. And I went in there on opening day, and they had clear cut the property next door. Things like that happen, and you need to be prepared for it to happen. And the sooner you know about it, the sooner you can adjust, right? There might be people building fence. They might be cutting trees. They may have moved in a bunch of goats next door, and it has changed completely what the deer are doing. That kind of stuff can make or break your season, especially if you're unaware of it until it's too late. Along with that, prepping trees. It's not something I do a ton of, but I do it when I have the opportunity, and I'm doing it right now while we're in Iowa. I'm checking out trees, I'm checking out hunting places, making sure I at least know what trees I should get into, because a lot of times on a morning I'm going into a place, a tree looks completely different than it does in the headlamp, right? And I need to know, hey, that's still a good hanging tree, and I mark that stuff on OnX so I know I can go back and hang in that tree confidently. And if you're a saddle hunter, if you're a run and gun guy, it's good to still prep those trees. Maybe you're not hanging a season-long stand in this tree over here. Maybe you just know it's a tree you might hunt. It's still worth going over there, trimming a few limbs if you can on private, or if it's legal on public, or at least knowing, hey, I know I can climb up the backside of this tree and be able to step around and be right where I need to be for a right-handed shooter. That kind of stuff matters. It'll give you an edge when it comes time to actually close the distance on a big buck. And also, while you're out here doing this tree prep and assessing the properties, look for changes in deer movement, particularly buck sign. New rubs, new scrapes, new trails pop up all the time, and they can tell you a lot about the areas that deer are using. Case in point, sometimes there'll be a ton of rubs right along a crop field or on a waterway that leads to the middle of a crop field. But then they harvest that and all that stuff dries up. If all those rubs in that waterway are a month old, there's likely not bucks using it. You know what does tell you a buck is using something? A freshly pawed scrape or a fresh green rub. That stuff tells you a buck was there recently, and that MRI, most recent information, matters when it comes to hunting big bucks. Now this is a bonus. Before we get to point 3, I'm gonna give you a bonus, okay? Make sure things are good at home. Compliment your wife. Pay the bills early. Mow the grass. Take care of things that will distract you or take you away from hunting later. Take your kids. Do something special with them, almost like it's a birthday, just because you love them. Take your wife out. Do all that stuff. Show them that you're a loving husband or wife, and it will make your fall go smoother. And now for point number 3 that will help you be ready for the rut this fall. Prepare and make a game plan. Take your calendar, Mark out dates that you plan on hunting. I promise you, you will hunt way more this fall if you set aside days that you are like, I am hunting this block of 5 days. I'm going to hunt these 3 days. I'm going to make this a long weekend of hunting and go from there. I'm not saying those are the only days you can hunt, but if you block that stuff aside and say, I have for sure 10, 15, 20, whatever you can possibly pull off and still be a good husband, father, wife, leader of your household, whatever the case may be, you will hunt way more this fall. Along with that, be checking the 10-day forecast. You have to look for those fronts. You have to assess when they start to develop. And when you do, if you can say, oh man, there's a cold front that's gonna be here in 5 days, it gives you an opportunity to look ahead in the future and say, what can I do to move things around on my schedule to be able to at least hunt an afternoon here where I don't have a planned hunt, but it's a day I need to get in the woods. Maybe you have a flexible schedule and things like that are easy. Maybe you don't have a flexible schedule, but it's still imperative, if you don't, to get in the days that are premium hunting days, because it's going to actually allow you to have more success, a higher rate of success, and it ends up freeing up your schedule when you do hunt good days and actually kill those big bucks that you're after, as opposed to spend a whole fall hunting subpar days where you don't see the deer movement you would like to. Under the column of preparation, this is the thing a lot of guys love to do and some guys despise, but that is check your gear, prep your gear, make sure your gear is in good working order, and make decisions about what gear you're going to use. Now, some people are gear nuts, and this is a point that they're like, yep, gotcha. Other guys, they like to take it easy. I'm kind of a take it easy kind of guy on some things. I'm kind of a gear nut on others. So I have to make myself sometimes do this, especially on the organization side of things. But of course, check your bow. Make sure your bow is sighted in. Shoot your bow often, as much as you can. Make sure that you've selected what broadheads that you want to shoot at deer. Make sure you have confidence in those broadheads. Make sure your rangefinder has a battery in it. Make sure you know where your binoculars are. Make sure you know what camo you're wearing, what boots you're gonna wear. Make sure you know where your warm weather stuff is, where your cold weather stuff is, and everything in between. Having that stuff organized, assessing what you're gonna need when, those kind of decisions are going to make the days where you're trying to get a hunt in quickly that you didn't know you're gonna be able to do happen way more often, because you're not searching for stuff. You're not looking for your release. You're not looking for your hat that you wear when you're in the woods. You're not looking for your climbing sticks, because you know where all that stuff is. Think about your tree stand stuff. If you're a guy who has your tree prepped already, that's great. If you're a run and gun hunter with a saddle, make sure you got your ropes in your saddle. Do all this stuff before the rut gets here. Make sure you know where your climbing sticks are. Make sure you know how they attach to your pack. Do all this stuff before it's time to hunt. That way, whenever it gets to that crunch time, you're just ready to rock and roll, boop, boop, boop. You can go through your steps and be in the tree quickly, as opposed to having to spend way too much time looking for the things that you're gonna hunt with. And to wrap all this stuff up together, the column of make a game plan. We're gonna take all that trail camera data. We're gonna take all that preparation we did. We're gonna take all that scouting and understanding your property and put it together in your brain, on paper, on a map, talking with a buddy, whatever the case may be. Work through that stuff and have a plan of action. Have multiple plans of action. Have a plan of action for all 360 degrees of wind direction. It's a little bit facetious, but you get what I'm saying. Have a lot of plans, a lot of ideas. Don't just go sit in that one oak tree because it's easy. Think about the things you need to do to make sure you have success whenever you get actually out into hunting time. And under the column of make a plan is access. Access is almost everything when it comes to whitetail deer hunting. My friend Bill Winke, he always said access is his #1 thing. Find big bucks, good. Find food, good. Find quality access, and then you can figure out the other things. That was the way Bill approached things. Still does to this day, and I think it's a great concept. All right, find ways to get creative with access. Get on OnX, map some access routes out that you think would work. Get out and try those things before the rut gets here. Get creative. Get a side-by-side, get an e-bike, get a canoe, maybe get a guy to drop you off in a tractor. Whatever the case may be, do something kind of out of the ordinary. You can walk a 1 mile loop to only make it 200 yards if that's what you have to do to get the wind and the visual seclusion and the sound away from those deer. Let's talk about those three things. You don't want to get smelled, you don't want to get seen, and you don't want to get heard, in that order. Getting smelled is worse than getting seen, and getting seen is worse than getting heard in general. There are some exceptions. If a deer sees me at 20 yards, that's worse than him smelling me at 600, right? You kind of understand that, but that's not the rule. The rule is I really want to make sure my smell is off of these deer, so I'm gonna get the wind to blow at me. I want my scent going away from the deer on my access. Also, I want to make sure those deer aren't seeing me walk in. You don't want to look like a Sasquatch walking across a field edge, because the deer know what that is. They understand two legs. Bipedal movement is something that means danger to deer. You're gonna try to make sure they don't see you. If they do see you, make sure it's at a distance. Don't be walking right by a deer 150 yards away thinking, oh, it's okay, they're gonna forget about me and come out where I want them to. Likely not to happen. And then the last thing is, don't let them hear you. Find a way to walk quietly. It's like one of the first things you can do in practice in your yard is walk quiet. But walk through the soft grass instead of the hard gravel. Walk a big loop way up high on the hill instead of walking through the bottom. And when you do that, you're also not leaving ground scent, which is a huge part of access, right? You might walk a perfect access trail where no deer have smelled you, no deer have heard you or seen you, but if that deer, that buck, gets up and then crosses your trail, he is likely to smell where you walked, especially if you're not wearing rubber boots or something like that. But there's no foolproof thing. They're gonna smell your ground scent. So when you lay down ground scent, it's a great way to spook deer that you otherwise think you have great access on. So make sure you're not being lazy. Walk those big loops, find creative ways to get into his place, and take direct access routes that no deer are gonna cross, or at least not the deer that you're trying to kill. Again, getting smelled is worse than getting seen. Getting seen is worse than getting heard. Take all three out of the mix and you are guaranteed to have some bad to the bone access that will help you kill more deer this fall. These are the three things that I think will really help you this rut season. Get out there, hunt, and kill the biggest buck of your life.